Okay, today Daf Samach Bet Amud Aleph. We are continuing our sugya of being told one thing and it ended up being something else. Amar Rav Mordechai Rav Asher. Atun bed Rava Pantitra. You taught us the name of Rava. Anam Matanita Pshitilan. But according for us, we knew it was obvious from the Braita. How? Hitin v'hipan besaurin. Someone piled up wheat and it ended up being barley. Saurin v'hipan v'hitin, or vice versa. Only pay barley. Alma, we see from there, Amar le, the owner of the field who's watching it can tell the guy who's owner of the grain, I accepted to watch the barley. Hachanami, so to here regarding the gold and silver coin with the lady, Amra she could say to him, I never accepted to guard gold. Amarav, I heard something according to the Bihuda, but I forgot what it was. Amar Shmuel told Rav, you don't know what you heard? Abba? He called him Abba. The Rabbi Yehuda on this kit Hamun Ba'esh. You heard that Rabbi Yehuda holds that you're hayav for things that were hidden and burnt by fire. Asu takanat nigzal be'isho, and you applied the halacha of the fixing of for a guy who got stolen in the case of fire. Meaning the same way someone who lost something by via theft, right? He's washing something and he said it was stolen. So too, you can also swear what was damaged via fire, right? So the whole thing was burnt out. You say, no, I had a something in there. Okay, but may I ask the question? Does the halacha of the fixing for the gezel, does that apply for an informer or not? Right? A moser is a person who informed someone else. The question is whether or not can a person who was caused the loss by a moser, can he swear how much he was lost by the moser? Actually, the guy was snitched on him to the government regarding taxes. He had to pay extra taxes, whatever it is. He can testify in Betin and swear how much the guy caused him loss. According to the opinion who holds that we don't apply din of garmi, right, which is indirect damage. You don't have a question because moser is not something that you can judge on. According to the opinion that you can charge someone for indirect damage. The question is that are we able to apply that case of swearing for the theft? Then so you can swear that he cost me X amount of money. Although can you not swear? Teku. This person who kicked the money box out of his friend, and he threw it into the river. The owner came over to him and said, I had such and such in it. He started thinking about it. What's this halacha? Can you swear how much was in the box before you threw it into the ocean or not? Amar le Ravina Rav Acha Bred Rava. V'amri la Rav Acha Bred Rava Rav Asher. Lav Hanim Matatzin. Do we not have a Mishnah? Titan. Umodim Chachamim Rabbi Yehuda. Chachamim agreed with Rabbi Yehuda. Madlik et Abirav. Someone who set the fire to the tower. Shemeshalim cold buildings. You pay everything inside. Shekin derech b'nei adam haniyach batim because you have stuff inside, right? So the same way you could charge the guy for whatever was inside, probably via swearing. So too over here, you can seemingly charge the guy whatever was in the box via swearing. Amarle, he says, if the guy was saying there was money in the box, sure, there was a money safe. Fine, that makes sense. But in our case, the kata'in maganita, he said there was a jewel inside. The question is not whether or not you could swear, but rather, is it common for someone to put jewels in their money box safe? Take it. Amar le Rav Asher asked the question. What if he said I had a silver cup in the tower? Is that something you could swear for or not? Amar le Hazina. Let's check. If he's a wealthy guy, he has silver goblets. Whoever is a trustworthy guy, where people leave something by him, and therefore he's probably watching it. He can take it. If not, he can't claim it was there. I know you probably think, oh, I had the most rarest painting there. I owe me $25 million. All right, so it depends. Okay. My ben gazlan hamsan. Right, halachot of stealing. What's the difference when the pasuk says a person is a gazlan and a person is a hamsan? Right, in Sanhedrin mentions gazlan and hamsan as a separate type of thieves. So now we're going to talk about what's the difference. Amar le hamsan yahiv dame. A hamsan is a person who gives money for the thing he's taking. Gazlan lo yahiv dame, and a gazlan does not take anything. Meaning, Hamsan is basically force sailing, force sales, right? Force the sale. He'll grab your item, throw you a few bucks, and walk away. It doesn't give you an option. Masha Gazan just steals it. I'm really, yeah, I've done Hamsan Karitla. If that's is that if he's paying for it, why is it a Hamsan? I'm not now. Taluha vizabin. If they hung somebody up and he sold it to them, it's a good sale. So even if it's a forced sale, you see it's a good sale. So why would it be called a Hamsan? La kasha. Had Marosani. Had la Marosani. There's a difference if the guy said I want to sell it, if the guy said I don't want to sell it. If he doesn't want to sell it, that is a case of Hamsan. Gets shayabi tahada patish fezik. If you're hitting a hammer on the metal and a spark went and hit something, hayav. Gamash hayataun pishtan ba'avar b'shadrbin. If the camel had flax in it passing through the public, when ashmas pishtan l'toch hachanut, and it the flax on the camel went into a shop, and it was lit by the fire. We had this earlier. And that fire from the flax traveled to the tower. Now, the owner of the camels, shouldn't have spilled over into the shop. But if the thing was outside, the shopkeeper is chayav because he shouldn't have put the fire outside. For Hanukkah, patur, like we mentioned earlier. We have a minhag. According to him, the halacha actually it's to light the Hanukkah light 10 tvachim within the ground. Because if you hold it, it could be up 10. Why would he say patur? You should have just said, instead of saying you're patur automatically by Hanukkah, he should have said you're only patur if the guy put it high enough to avoid camels. So therefore, we can see that if it's under 10 tvachim, you're supposed to be doing it under 10 tvachim because the guy can't claim why is it there. They say no. Above 10 tvachim is good. Now, what would you say? How come the damagee can't tell the shopkeeper, put your Hanukkah candles higher? Since he's doing the mitzvah, we don't want to cause him stress by having to put it higher. He said, a Hanukkah light placed above 20 amot from the ground is pasul, just like the case of sukkah being too high, and mavui regarding having a valley to make like a enclosed place to carry. If it's above 20 amot, it does not count to be making it separate property. New perek. Meruba midat tashlume kefil midat tashlume arba'a v'chamisha. Right, so now we're talking about stealing still, kind of leading into this, the thefts. We're all different types of payments, knases, right? So if I steal $100, I should pay $100. However, if I get caught in my lie saying I didn't steal it and I get caught after swearing, I pay kefil double. If I stole a cow, a sheep, or an ox, I have to pay either 4 or 5 times. We'll discuss why. If I slaughtered it. Regarding kefil, it applies. Right, so we see that the midah of kefil is more than the 4 and 5 because kefil applies to anything, living things or inanimate things. You're always chayav kefil if you lied. The 4 and 5 payment only applies to ox or sheep. Sorry. If someone stole someone else's ox or sheep and slaughters it and sells it, he pays 5 or 4. 5 for the ox, 4 for the sheep. Because if the guy had to steal the sheep, he probably carried it and it's embarrassing, therefore he pays 1 less. Right? Very interesting how it feels bad for the guy. Someone who steals after someone else's stolen item does not pay kefil. And if someone stole it and then sold to someone else, and that guy slaughtered it or sold it after that, he does not pay 4 and 5. Only the initial thief pays them. Right. But 1 second. Kefil applies to whether or not the thief was watching it or he said it was stolen in regarding to a pikadon, which he stole. Right? So either it applies whether he was stealing it and they said you stole it. He's like, I know, I swear I didn't. Or he was watching it and he took it for himself and then he swore that he didn't take it. But the 4 and 5 rule for ox and sheep only applies if you stole that right, not if you were watching it. But how can the Mishnah mention that? Proof according to someone who claims that it was stolen from you and you were watching someone else's deposit. You pay double. You pay 4 or 5. There's someone say the following. About the proof according to someone who's watching something and he said it was stolen. They pay double. If we slaughtered or sold it, you pay 4 or 5. Right? Even if you didn't steal it outright, but you were watching it. And Ben, but Mishnah doesn't say there's no difference between 2 and 4 and 5. Merubakatan says that it's more halachot, which means that it should it could apply elsewhere. Tanah Bashir, and therefore you could say maybe it left out the halachot of other things, including that the 4 and 5 applies there, and amongst others. Okay. Next part of the Mishnah says, right? You pay kefil by living and non-living things. Do you know that you pay kefil by these things? Are called davar pesha. Regarding to kefil, says any type of stealing. Klal, that's a klal, generalization. Ashor or hamor al seb al salma, an ox, donkey, sheep, or garment, prat, specification on certain items. Then al kol aveda, any lost item, chazar the klal, another generalization. Right? Anything stolen, and it gave listed 4 actual items, then it says anything lost. Right? Cloud, prata, cloud. You only done the generalization based on the specification. Just like we see that the specification, the 4 items listed, is something that's movable, and it has value. Anything that has, so to do anything, it'll apply to anything. Kefil can apply to anything that has value and movable. That excludes land. Also excludes slaves because slaves are comparable to land. Also documents are excluded. Even though technically it is movable, and there's no actual value to the actual shtar. That should also exclude hektish. Because it says it's only your friend, and hektish is not considered another person. But 1 second, the specifications also specified things that the carcass will make tameh other things if you touch it or carry it. So therefore, called the version of so does that mean everything else should be tameh? But therefore, we're excluding birds because birds' bodies are not tameh. All right, so the Gemara says an easy question on that. What are you talking about? The specifications listed 3 animals that true, those carcasses can seemingly include those type of halachot tum'ah, but they also mentioned the garment. That does not fall under that category. Gemara says, regarding the living things, right, so it's a good answer. It says, okay, true. In regarding to Salma, regarding the garment, that doesn't teach us anything regarding tum'ah. However, the list of the living things, seemingly the Mishnah wanted to teach us that only living things that have the halachot of tumah of maga masa, touching and carrying, masha enkin, maybe it will exclude the things that are not. The Gemara says because when you have klal prat with klal, each specification is teaching you a separate halacha. So maybe therefore it's excluding birds. The Gemara says if that's the case, they wanted to exclude all other type of living things, it would have only mentioned 1 of them. So it must be, since mentioned 3, ox, donkey, and sheep, maybe it was not, it was trying to include birds. The Gemara says, which one did you have written? Right? You had to write all 3 because you only wrote iktav rachmana shor if it mentioned shor havamina karev mizbeach in, she'en karev mizbeach lo. You can only bring something that's kosher from mizbeach. Maybe you only mention animals that have a halachot of pidyon peter hamor of the bechor. You could redeem the bechor, so maybe it'll exclude anything else. Therefore, maybe it had to mention all of them. The Gemara says, Amri im shor vehamor. Maybe you should have just mentioned, okay, if you needed shor, you need hamor. Mention only those 2. Selamali, why don't you mention sheep at all? Therefore, maybe sheep is including birds. Maybe it says, okay, maybe the sheep is teaching you kosher birds. Just like sheep is. Because the carcass of a bird kosher bird, is tameh if regarding its throat, right? So in regarding to the in regarding to the nevilah of a bird does not transfer tameh. Only one who swallows the carcass of a bird becomes tameh, right? So that's what it means through the throat. So, but non-kosher birds which do not have any tumah at all, which the bodies do not transfer tumah to the person and his clothes when he swallows it. Maybe it would not be included in that. So how do we know that even non-kosher birds have kefel? The Gemara says kol debuyehi. We say no. The word any kol devar pesha includes those two. The Gemara says v'cholecha the kol debuyehu. Does that mean every single time it says kol, it includes something? But we see by Ma'aser that it mentioned the word kol. And we see we still included it in the klal pratu klal and elsewhere in the other halachot. And we'll continue from it tomorrow what that location is.